And we're live.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Learn Down on Hangout for this month. This month we're reading the book Diabolic, which was my pick. I tossed and turned over this pick for a little bit, but I'm very glad that I picked it. Although I did think that it was going to be more fantasy than it actually was. It ended up being pretty much a sci-fi YA book, which I'm not disappointed in. It just was not what I expected. And I'll start off with my sort of first thoughts about it, which was I really, really enjoyed it, and I really want to read the next book now. There was a bit of it where I was like, well, that's very generic YA, but that doesn't make it a bad book. It just does make it a little bit tropey. But that I wasn't upset about it. I wasn't mad about it. It was really enjoyable. It was a new way to look at a YA book. Like, it wasn't, boy falls in love with girl is super strong or has magical abilities, or, is the princess of a, whatever. She's a genetically engineered sort of, they call them like non-humans. They're like have human DNA, but they're not actually human. And for like the majority of the book, the like love story isn't really it's not the main sort of drive of the book. Like, it's not like the whole story of the book is she's trying to get the boy to fall in love with her. And I really did enjoy that. And I love romance books, don't get me wrong. That's what got me into VF and how I met all these lovely people. But I do enjoy a book that has something as well as having a romance plot.
Yeah.
Mel, would you like to go next?
Well, I'm not finished, but yeah, I'm a little bit sort of mixed feelings over it. I'm not enjoying the writing style so much, and the world is a bit. But in general, I seem to be interested enough that I've continued on. So. I'm not far enough into have gotten to any, even at halfway, I'm not really far enough to have gotten to any real romance. So I don't know, maybe that'll be a hook for me in the end. I don't know for sure. I sort of know what's going to happen.
This will be good. You need to tell us what you think is going to happen. And
what do you think's going to happen?
Before we tell you what we like, because I'm sure, I know you said you don't mind spoilers, and we'll try to not be too overly spoily. But
I'm not saying that because I have guessed what I know what's happened. I know what's going to happen because I flicked to the end to find out.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Sorry to disappoint.
I didn't think it was like, I mean, there were some things where I was like, oh, now that character's gonna die.
That I don't know, but I'm pretty confident I know is going to happen. But no, it's more of a case of I needed something to keep me reading, because I was going through a stage where I was like, this is not working for me. Am I going to continue reading this? And this is my methodology that I use to keep myself going. I can't say that it made me go, oh yeah, I really. Sorry.
At the halfway through, where is that? Like, where is that in the story?
She's just started going to events with Tyrus, saying that they're getting married. So they've just started sort of their plan, basically enacting their plan, whatever the plan's going to end up being in total, I don't know. But the basic plan at the moment being that she's pretending to be his fiancée, or is going to actually be his fiancée. I'm not really sure whether they're serious about this or not. I must admit I'm flicking a little bit. But so she's sort of on board with the plan, despite the fact that her original idea was that she was just going to kill the emperor. So they've started going to events together. They've done the first big one, and now it's sort of skipping through them, doing a few others sort of stuff.
Should I go?
Go for it.
Yeah, you go.
I quite liked it. I read it very quickly. I was just saying to Mel before I started it on Tuesday night, I think, and I read a little bit most nights in the last week, and then last night I had like half the book left, and I just sat the whole book, that half all in one sitting. So it was a nice, quick, easy read, which I liked, probably because it was a YA. And because it was a YA, there was some tropey stuff that kind of annoyed me, and there was a couple of things about it that I didn't like, but overall I quite liked it. I kept going, well, I like this part of the story and I don't like that, and I like this but I don't like that. So, but I think overall, like I didn't want to stop reading and give up on it at any point. So, and I don't know whether I want to read the next one or not. I'll have to see how I go with fitting things in.
A lot of the reviews said that it was a standalone, but it's not. So maybe it actually works as a standalone.
It does.
Yeah.
She wrote it as a standalone, and because it became popular, they said write another one. And the way she finished it, yeah, it could be a standalone. Like, it doesn't need another story, but the way she's finished it, you can also write another story, and it's not just like going to be a bad tag on, because there is a way she could continue the story. And
well,
you don't.
I must say,
you don't care about spoilers, do you?
Yeah, no, I don't care about spoilers. I wouldn't do this if I cared about spoilers, because that's not fair to you guys. I must say that the title of the second book is rather a giveaway of the ending in summary.
What's the second one called?
Empress.
Or the Empress.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
Because Nemesis does decide to marry Tyrus, be with him. Like, the way it does finish, it is a nice ending. Like, you can sort of see, okay, this is a whole story. You've got your conclusion to what's been going on. He's now the emperor, and hopefully he'll start making things better and, start going that way. And you don't need another story. I'm glad there's another story, because I'd like to see, like, the people from the sort of outer worlds, the the excess and that sort of stuff. Those sorts of people, I want to get more about them, sort of learning about, to get more information about science and that sort of stuff, and sort of really starting to be able to repair and build robots, because that's basically where they are at the moment, that the robots they have are starting to break down and not be able to repair themselves, which will kind of sort of screw them, basically.
So can I ask an answer for a particular spoiler?
Yes.
Is I can't remember her name. You wouldn't think I was reading this so shortly a while ago.
I'm used to names.
Yeah. Is it Donia, the girl she was serving?
Yeah, that's the one she had to protect.
Donna?
Yeah, the one she was
protecting. Sedona, and she called it, her name was Sedona, but she called her Donia or something.
That's what I was trying to think of. Is she actually dead?
Yeah.
Oh God, that was one of the things that pissed me off, because I was like, yep, she's going to come back and it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, I was so excited when she came back, because I was like, she came back and it's really great. And then the moment she was like, you should come and be my bridesmaid and teach me how to do all this stuff, I'm like, oh, she's going to die. She's going to die so hard.
Oh, right in the bit when she's like, I'll rub the oil on your back, and the other chick's like, no, go away. And then she's like, no, I insist. And it's like, oh, you fucking idiot, go away.
Okay, I'm confused. What? So Sidonia was alive and now she's dead again?
Yes, and that pissed me off, because it's like, if you bring a character back from the dead, don't fucking kill them again like one chapter later. That's really fucking annoying.
Because basically what happened was, she said that she had used the sort of manners master, her ship and her credentials to get to the the royal ship. So she used those credentials to be able to get there.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, my cat just jabbed his claws into me with jumping off my lap. And so she used those credentials to get to the royal ship, and then she was, there helping Nemesis sort of try to become more sort of fit in. There were sort of hints that Tyrus had sort of a conversation by themselves, and when they came out of it, Sedona seemed to sort of imply that real out for her, and I'm like, oh no, Tyrus is going to kill her. He's going to kill her so bad. And even at the end of the book, like, and when she sort of
Tyrus
Tyrus finds out that Nemesis is Nemesis and not Sedona. So
yeah, but he's known that from like the beginning when he first started the plan.
Yeah, but then he finds out that Sedona is still alive because Nemesis doesn't tell him straight away.
Right.
She sort of like keeps, because obviously no one's seen Sedona because she's only ever sort of met all these people.
The Avatar thing.
Our world, so they wouldn't know what she looks like. So Nemesis finally tells Tyrus that Sedona is alive and that she's here.
Mm.
They sort of have a conversation with each other without Nemesis being there, and then when Sedona comes out, she's very like, he obviously does love you very much, and I don't know how there's ever going to be a place for me in your life with like, once he becomes emperor. Sort of very like, she was sort of like the author was hinting that she was going to die because Tyrus was going to kill her.
Oh, so
and
did
even
Tyrus
at the end of the book, even at the end of the book, there's no real like, because what happens is the really nasty girl's name, I can't remember.
The Pisces girl or something.
Yeah, her, but I can't think of her name.
The Pisces girl. Basically, Paris's grandmother says, I want you to marry this Paris's girl, like then I will help you get on the throne. Like that will be like, he sort of shows his hand and says, look, I'm not crazy. He sort of says, I'm not crazy. Look, I'm not crazy. And you want the strongest person on the throne. And he says to her that, oh, that's obviously you. But because you can't be on the throne, you should help me be on the throne. And I will do what you want so that I can be on the throne.
Mm.
So she says, you have to marry this Pyrrhus girl. And then poisons the like oil, and to like, she's put as part of the like bridal thing, like
it's like
your maid of honor.
You have to it's an anointing ceremony before the wedding.
It kind of sounds sort of similar to what they do before an Indian wedding with all the like sort of
ceremonies and
the henna stuff and
the ceremonies and the like the henna and all that sort of stuff, like drawing of symbols.
Yeah,
because it sounds like that's what they're doing. They're like drawing symbols with the oil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
draws the symbols first onto the girl, and then she tells Nemesis to draw symbols on herself. And because Nemesis has never done anything before, Sedona's like, no, I'll help you. But of course, because the stuff is poisoned, it was never going to kill Nemesis because she's diabolic.
Yes.
Obviously, kill Sedona.
Huh.
And that's why I don't think it was him, because she wasn't even meant to be there. And he didn't know that she was going to bring her. Like, she only brought her along as like a pretense thing because she was like, holy shit, I don't know this ceremony and it's going to make me look like I'm not who I say I am because I don't know how to do this ceremony.
But
and Sedona was posing as her
manners master.
Yeah, she was supposed to be the etiquette coach or something. So she brought her along as the etiquette coach, and but then there was a bit where Nemesis had to anoint this other chick, who the bitchy one, whose name I can't remember either.
Yeah,
and then
I know, so bad.
And then she was supposed to anoint herself, and the other one is like saying, here you go, here's your oil. And it was so obvious what was going to happen because there's 2 vials of oil and she goes to reach one and she's like, no, that's not yours, that's mine. And she swaps them over and it's like, yeah, obviously one of them's poisoned because why did she act like such a freak over which one was hers? And so, because Sedona doesn't know, he keeps calling her Sedona because she says, it's confusing.
Yeah.
Nemesis knows how to do the ceremony. So
Yeah.
Sedona keeps jumping in and going, I'll do it for her, because she doesn't want to, you know, point out, make it obvious that she doesn't know how to do the ceremony. And then the other girl says to her, thinking she's just some random etiquette coach, no, you know, we don't need you, go away, she's going to do it herself. And then Sedona's like, no, I insist that I do it. And so the other chick just kind of goes, suit yourself then. And you can tell she's kind of like, you'll be sorry, suit yourself, if you really want to do it, you can. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is so obvious what's going to happen. I knew what was going to happen before it did.
Yeah, it's like, oh, God, she's going to die. So going to die.
But he couldn't have known. I don't think it was him. It may have been him that set up the poison thing, thinking, well, I know Nemesis won't die from it, but then she's going to get, you know, I don't know what he might have thought. But I don't think he would have known that Sedona would have actually gone and put the oil on herself.
Yeah, well,
because usually she
Sedona
wouldn't have.
did
If
say,
they'd done that ceremony properly, she wouldn't have done it. So how did he know she was even going to be there, let alone that she would volunteer to do it?
Because he would have known that Sedona doesn't know how to, that Nemesis doesn't know how to do any of these things. Like, that's the thing. Like, I mean, and yeah, like, in the end, the grandmother did doing it, but how do we know that she didn't admit that to, like, sort of...
Because he told her. He told her she had to admit it, otherwise he wasn't going to give her the drugs. Because he was going to shoot her into the sun. And he was like, well, if you confess, I'll give you these drugs so that you'll be asleep by the time you actually get burnt alive. So, of course, she's going to say whatever he wants her to say so she can have the drugs. But I don't think he did.
But then again,
I have to think that,
she may
otherwise I
have
can't
said
read
it.
the rest of the book.
That's what I was thinking. If he did have anything to do with it.
She may have said it in a way that made Nemesis think that he had done it just to sort of lay that last final, like, niggling doubt in Nemesis's mind. You know what I mean? Like, sort of like, this is the last way I can fuck his life up, so I'm going to do it kind of thing.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. It was tropey, and it did make me angry in some points because it was tropey, but I really enjoy YA books. I enjoyed it because it was such an easy read. I enjoyed the fact that Nemesis was herself unabashedly. She didn't care that, you know, people thought she was strange. Like, all that it did, especially at the beginning, was to protect Sedona and then to get revenge, kind of thing. Like,
I really liked her character.
Like, I really, really liked her character, and I really want to see how they make her grow, because I really do hope that they give her some growth. Like, I really think that she can be a really interesting character. Like, I think that they have a lot more, like, human in them than you know, science is sort of saying that they do. Like, I really do think that they
I think they are human. I think they are human. They're just
like
humans with genetic enhancements, and the reason they're classified as not human is the same reason why people used to say that black people were not human. Yeah. When they were keeping slaves, they wanted an excuse to be able to keep them as slaves. So they would say, "Oh, well, they're not equal to us. They're not human. So it's okay to keep them as slaves." And that's what's happening in this world as well, because if they can pass in looks as human, they must be, like, what other DNA, like, they got a bit of other DNA to enhance them, and, like, you know, I'm going, and it seems to me like a lot of their stuff was from actually conditioning rather than just the DNA, like a lot of the violence.
Well, I mean, it was mostly, conditioning and also, like, genetic modification, like making sure that they were stronger than a normal human. Even, you know, as a child, she could tear apart a man. Like, she could, with her bare hands. Like, it wasn't, like, so they're obviously genetically engineered to be a lot stronger. Like, so obviously they have either more muscle mass or, you know, something like that. Something that makes, then they don't feel pain they don't feel pain as much. Like, they seem to have a higher threshold for pain and that sort of stuff. Yeah. So it feels like that they've been humans have genetically engineered them enough to make them think that, oh, it's fine for us to treat them the way we treat them. They're not really human.
Yes, I agree. But and they seem to be using that sort of excuse for a lot of different areas. It's not just the Diabolics, it's also the excess and things along those lines. In a lot of
the
respects.
Excess, and then the other one, the ones that like.
I mean, just look at the name, the excess. For God's sakes.
There's one point in the book.
There's the excess, and then the other ones that like have promised themselves to families.
Oh yeah. There's employees, and then there's basically the house slave type people.
Yeah, the ones that are like have the like family emblem tattooed on them. Yeah, the servitors. And the excess like really hate the servitors, and I mean with good reason, because I mean they've basically been brainwashed to like serve this family.
Oh no, okay, I think you're confusing. The servitors are the ones that are basically like zombie slave type people that do all the housework and stuff.
Yeah, and
the employees.
They were bred the same way.
But you're right about the excess hating the servitors, but I think that's more because they're just disgusted by the fact that they would genetically engineer someone to be so obedient and dumb. And they're not just brainwashed. I reckon they're genetically engineered to not have the mental capacity to even understand a lot of things. Like it's
because that was the whole point at the beginning, is how she was able to pass as one of them was because, like her, they were genetically engineered. Hi, Kim.
I mean, yeah, they did need to like taper down her bones and taper down her muscles, and you know she couldn't exercise as much because they didn't want her to like build up those muscles again, because that would sort of
make her stand out.
And I mean, it did seem very like the women were very from like it seemed like they were trying to imitate the women of like early 19th century. Where like the fad look was to look like you had TB. Like you were very pale and you were very frail. Like women were very pale and frail looking.
No, not in this. The fashion was for them to be really, really, really tanned. Because remember, she was really pale, and she had to darken her skin.
Yeah, that's because they had to darken their skin. That's right.
Sun worshipping culture, so that it was fashionable to be really, really tanned, because you couldn't actually get tanned because you had to cover up freckles and things, and you couldn't have sun damage and be old looking. But they had these fake tans to make them look kind of sun worshippers. Like.
Yeah, and they were talking about people who got sun sickness, which I assume is like a type of cancer. Right, what
too much
the like
UV
sun
radiation.
sickness was.
Too much radiation. Yeah.
It seemed, because it seemed like it was some sort of like cancer type thing, because they were talking about them, you know, sort of wasting away and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I was thinking more like
radiation
poisoning, maybe.
Yeah, maybe, but they didn't really give a lot of information about what they meant when they said someone had sun sickness. Like, I wasn't sure if it was just, you know, you have sun damage on your skin, or if you're actually sick with like something like cancer. Like, it wasn't very clear.
I kind of forgot about that, to be honest.
That makes that scene where his uncle chained him up in the sunlight seem really bad. Like, it seemed pretty bad in the first place.
Well, I mean, he's like in direct sunlight, or you know, UV light with like, it's like, I mean, if we're outside in the sun, we have you know, millions of kilometers between us and the sun, as well as like an atmosphere that's sort of protecting us from a lot of the UV rays. And he was like, there's basically just the glass and a bit of space. Like, it's not.
Yes.
Yeah.
They would have to have more than just glass, because we also have a magnetosphere. So there'd be a lot more than just UV radiation coming through if you're in space. So there had to be some kind of protections on the ships and things. It just depends on what they've decided to filter out and what they're not filtering out with the windows. And
It was very.
I'd assume that, yeah. I'd assume they had some kind of radiation filter and then a UV filter, because I don't know whether it said he just lifted the UV filter or whether I just read UV filter, because that's what I was thinking. But maybe that's why, like, they just lifted the UV filter and not the radiation. So he got a sunburn, but he didn't actually he wasn't about going to get sick.
Maybe,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean, they wouldn't want to really lift the radiation filter anyway, because they wouldn't want everyone else in the room to be getting sick from radiation.
That would make more sense, yeah.
Yes, phone. My phone seems to, like, not want to receive push notifications, like, for like 2 hours and then receive a whole lot.
Yeah. Do a message and then it was like just sitting there not sending, and I'm like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Fine, Facebook.
Whatever. All my
I hate
was
you.
your message coming through there? Like five times, thanks.
Fine, Facebook. Fine.
Yeah,
Oh,
I know.
only tried to send
Your
sorry.
the event notification came up at like 7:50. Like 20 minutes after the event rather than 30 minutes before the event is when I got the event notification on my phone.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Good work, Facebook. Good work.
Yeah. I think it may be my phone as well. Because I've been like Snapchat, like you guys sent Snapchats and I didn't get a notification till like 5 hours later for the one sent earlier this morning, like in the mid-morning. It was like 5 hours before my phone went ding, 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 ding. It literally went ding. Because it got like 20 notifications at once. Because I think, your Mel's notifications came through, Naomi's notifications came through, all the Snapchat notifications came through at the same time, and anything else that was on Facebook came through at the exact same time for like 5 hours worth of stuff.
Well, in saying that I did like the book, I'm very glad that I only paid like $9 for it. Like, I think I would have been disappointed if I paid like $25 or $30 for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I
liked it enough that I'm not mad about it, but I didn't like it enough that I would be mad if I had paid $25 to $30 for a brand new from a bookstore.
Yeah.
I was disappointed.
I enjoyed it. It held my attention, but it's not the best book ever, really.
Yeah. I paid $10 for it on Kindle, and I was disappointed enough in the beginning that I went to see whether or not I could return it and get my money back. I can't without lying. And so I kept reading, and I was like, it's not too bad.
I'm glad that it got better
had
for
some
you.
good elements, and it had some bad elements. Like, the thing that I really liked the most was her character, and I liked the whole theme of her realizing that she is really human and not considering herself a creature and this abomination which she kind of saw herself as. And I liked her kind of coming to terms with, and the way that they brought, like, both of the people who loved her brought that out in her. It shit me that Sidonia was in love with her, and that was kind of brushed over and gone, it doesn't matter. And that kind of annoyed me because I was like,
they brushed over that. I was like, she's totally in love with you the whole time.
Oh no, they didn't. I mean, she admits that she's in love with her, and it's like, oh, this is kind of awkward because I'm in love with him. And then I don't know how you're. Sorry, Kim, I forgot to check if you're okay with spoilers, but I'm assuming that you are.
Oh no, I finished. Yeah.
Oh, you did finish.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I don't know.
I finished and logged in.
Yeah. So Sidonia admits to Nemesis that she's in love with her, and she says to her, "Oh, I feel for you the same way that he feels for you." Is it Tyrus?
Tyrus, whatever.
I feel the same way that Tyrus feels about you. And Nemesis first of all goes, "No, I think you misunderstand how Tyrus feels about me." And then she was like, then she kind of clicked and went, "Oh, okay." And then they killed her off, and I was like,
yeah. I mean,
to me.
I thought it was pretty obvious in the beginning that was what was going on, and I think one of my pet peeves in YA is triangles.
Yeah.
So I think I dealt with it fine up until I now know she comes back. Now I'm cranky because I hate triangles.
Well, I mean, I don't think it was really.
I
don't think it was really a triangle as such. Like, yeah, okay, so Sedona does love Nemesis, but Nemesis doesn't really love Sedona in the way that Sedona loves.
It's like a weird V.
Yeah,
But even
yeah.
so, like
view.
it wasn't until the very end when Nemesis sort of realized that she was a human worth loving that she loved Tyrus. Like for most of the book, she was only with Tyrus to sort of move along her plan for revenge. Like
Yeah.
she wasn't. It's not a triangle in the sense that anyone is trying to be like. Yeah, Sedona loves Nemesis because she grew up with her and, like, you know, she knows her better than anyone, and she, you know, wants to show this person that she loves so much that she is a real person. But it's not like Nemesis was trying to like tell her along or anything like that. Like it wasn't like that sort of trope that really bugs me. Like yeah, it does bug me a bit that there was that bit of a like added love, but it wasn't a, you know, I love you. Oh no, now I love you. Oh no, now I love you, which I really hate in YA so much.
See, my thing is that I hate any kind of triangle, even to a slight degree. Whereas, like, you guys are sort of saying it's not a full triangle. I'm like, yeah, sure, it's not a full triangle, but for me, it doesn't matter. I don't like any of it. I was all on board for the two of them to be in love with each other at the beginning. I was like, yes, let's have that.
That was what I was. I think that was what disappointed me, was because I wanted those two to be together, and I didn't really. I didn't mind him as a love interest, but I kind of went, oh, it would have been a really interesting way to take the book of having them fall in love with each other, and then to have her be conflicted about her love because, do I love her because I want to love her, or do I love her because I've been forced to love her? And that would have made an interesting story.
Yes.
Of her trying to just, you know, maybe you could have had some way that could have been switched off, that chemical thing that they did to her, and then she decides she realizes she loves her anyway, and despite that, like, I don't know, I kind of liked the idea of those two being together, and then I felt kind of like his thing was kind of like they got rid of Sedona, sort of died in that beginning bit, and then they go, and I'm like, okay, well, he's going to be the love interest. And then when they brought her back, I was like, oh, this is interesting. Yeah. And then they killed her off again. I'm like, it should be a rule that you can't just bring a person back just to kill them again. Like, if you're gonna do a miraculous return from the death, don't fucking kill them again like a chapter later. That's really annoying. That's probably the thing that annoyed me more than anything else.
Doesn't he?
I was actually really suspicious, like after they sort of watched the sort of up, I'm like, Sedona wasn't on that ship.
Yeah, I was too, and that's what I was expecting.
I was expecting, when it happened, I'm like, Sidonia wasn't there. Maybe her parents were there, but I have a funny feeling Sidonia wasn't on the ship.
Yeah, and I was like, I was right. Yeah. She came back, and then they were like, no, we're going to kill her again. I'm like, what was the point of bringing her back?
Yeah.
I was just frustrated.
Because I felt like, nope, she definitely was not on that ship. She's on her way here. She will get here soon, and she'll be here. I did really like in the end actually how or the three Diabolics were never the kings; they were always the grandmothers. Of them, because they were so like, no, you can't talk to him right now. No, you can't. Like I
got suspicious around that point, and then it just sort of like they were standing nowhere near the Emperor when she entered the room, and I'm like, they're Cygnus, whatever her name was. Cygnus? Yeah. Like, as soon as they weren't standing anywhere near him when she entered that room, I'm like, yep. He's screwed.
I just hear a TV?
No, it's probably
Matt.
Oh, okay.
He was telling me off for being too loud.
I think you're not loud, you're passionate.
So I gave it 5 stars on Goodread, but only because I was like, I really just want to give it 4.5 stars. Like, I really enjoyed it. It didn't take me long to read. It was a compelling story that makes me want to read the next one. For me, that's 4.5. That's a 4.5 star book. But it's not really. I would have felt bad giving it only 4 stars because I did quite enjoy it. So I was like, fine, 5 stars it is then. But I felt dirty about it. I'm like, I want a half star. Okay, that's all I want out of life. Goodreads. Okay, maybe that's not all I want out of life. That's a lie. But I do want half stars. Okay.
Yep.
I need a 3.5 because this book for me was a 3.5.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I gave it a 3 and I feel that's mean, but I thought giving it a 4.
I think I'm gonna have to. I really want 3.5 for this because most of the 3 books I read, this is better than a 3.
Well, I
I don't want to give it 4, but I think I might end up giving it 4 because it's definitely not in the league that I give 3s to generally.
See, at the moment, I want to give it 2.5, but I really don't want to give it a 3. But I feel like 2's wrong, and I'm just sort of like, please be better so I can give you 3. I've got time. I might make it.
I found that the last chapter, 2 chapters, I found that they really tied it up for me. Like her ends and her being like, you know what? I don't care anymore. Fine, you want to kill me? Fine. I'm just gonna do the most hurtful thing I can. I'm not gonna try and escape. I'm not gonna try and run away. I'm not gonna try and attack the people who get me out. I'm just gonna walk calmly and I'm gonna sit in the pod or lay or whatever she was gonna do. I don't know how it really works because it didn't really describe it. But I'm just gonna calmly do that. I'm not gonna show him that I care. Because that was
and I think it really that was and I think that
was the most damaging thing she could do to him.
And I think it remained right with her character because she was very much like that earlier on. The way she reacted to things, sometimes she was like, when it was just at the end, she's just like, I'm just gonna die. She did that so often that it was good that they didn't make her fight near the end because I think that would have been out of character. And I just went, no, I don't think she would do that.
Can I tell you one other thing that pissed me off without? Or is it? It is kind of spoilery now.
You're fine.
I was annoyed about the dog.
Yeah, I'm always annoyed.
Killed the dog, did they?
Not just because they killed the dog, but because they killed it in such a way that it was like a waste. You know, like couldn't the dog have like died attacking one of the Diabolics in her to defend her or something like?
Yeah.
You know, some kind of go out in a blaze of glory, but attacking her because she was the only one that looked after it and loved it and blah blah blah. No, it gets a disease on the planet and then dies from the disease. And I'm like, what was the fucking point of that? That did not bring the plot forward at all, except it sort of showed that she gave a shit about something that wasn't
also showed that like she needs to it helped her see that things that are
that she can love something, I know,
very delicate, you know, like they didn't need to kill it, but I can see why they did.
She still could have come to that realization if the dog had died in a bit more of a, you know, it seemed less way, you know.
I think it'll come into play a lot more in book 2 when, you know, we realise that stuck on planets are exposed to a lot more stuff. They're not protected by vaccines. They don't, like, there's a lot more that they need to, that they suffer through that in those, like, in their ships don't have to. Like, you know, if you're in a ship, you don't get exposed to all of those diseases and, like, you know, pests like ants and mosquitoes and all those sorts of things that carry those sorts of diseases. Like, I think for her, the Empress, it'll be important for her to be like, well, those people who are planets suffer a lot more than all of you people in those spaceships, and I want to help those people because it is to suffer. Like, I saw the one thing that one of the things that I care for the most suffer because they just went to that planet. Like, they don't even live there. They were just there for, you know, a day or two, and one of the things that I care about most, kind of thing. And I think that's why it was important that the dog died in that way. Because I think if the dog had died in, like, a blaze of glory defending her or fighting with her, like, it wouldn't have meant as much to her in growth-wise.
Yeah, I suppose.
Maybe.
I was just, like, upset about it. I was like,
oh, yeah, no, it's awful, and they didn't need to do it. Like, just Tyrus being sick was enough. Like, I think that would have been enough for her to sort of, although she didn't really love Tyrus at that point in time, the way she loved the way she loved her dog.
Yeah.
Just at that point. So,
yeah.
like, I don't know. I think it
Yeah,
helped
no, I
her.
get it. When you say that, I can see the reasons why they did it, but I was still like, oh, that upset me
No,
more
I'm
than
not happy about it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not happy about it. I'm very upset about it. But I said, I sort of thought, you know, I can understand why they did it. I'm not happy about it, and I think they could have done something they could have done it in a better way.
Yeah.
I mean,
Why are you dinging?
I am pointing out a lot of things that I didn't like, but I think that's more because it's easier to point the things out that I didn't like, and I didn't dislike the whole book. But I also, the part when they first have this kiss, the way that it's written is so ambiguous that I was like, did they just have sex or did they not have sex? Because there's one bit where they're like, they went into the bedroom and their bodies were as one or some crap, and I'm like, they have sex? And then it's not until the next chapter that she's kind of going, oh, and that kiss, blah, 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 and she's raving on about the kiss, and I'm like, well, they obviously didn't have sex because she wouldn't just be raving on about the kiss. But it was it felt like one of those YA things where they like ambiguously refer to the sex without actually talking about it, and then it turns out, oh no, that wasn't sex. But then it was like, well, I don't know, it just kind of annoyed me the way it was written. But maybe it's because I'm used to reading ones that have explicit sex scenes in them and not just the YA stuff.
I didn't even think that they had sex. Like, that didn't even occur to me.
No, maybe it's my dirty mind, but I was like, oh, I have to get the book and read the bit I was talking about, because I was like, what did that really mean? It was very flowery language that didn't really mean anything literally. I'm going to go and find
I think it was the first sort of moments for Nemesis really starting to be, or to think she was to really sort of start making connection with another person. Because of her connection with Tyrus, that's how she connection, I think, with Sedona. Like, when Sedona comes back, she really starts to realize this person does love me and I love her. Like, I do care for her. This isn't just a like I'm protecting her thing. Like, I feel like because of a relationship with Tyrus, I feel like I don't know, maybe I'm just reading too much into this. This is a YA book.
It's a YA book you thoroughly enjoyed, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I did really enjoy it, and I read it in basically 2 days. Like, I had 2 afternoons on the bus, and then I read it mostly on Saturday, and then I finished it on Sunday morning last week.
Yeah.
The book to Karina, which is why I don't have the book, because it's currently at her place.
I figured that
my cats is snoring. I think it's Tombo.
Snoring.
Snoring.
It's usually part.
Okay, I'm going to be back in 2 seconds. I just got my phone.
Oh, okay. We're clearly doing break time. I'm going to go get a drink. I'll be right back.
They're both dead to the world. Oh, no, she's awake, but she's passed out.
Okay. All right, I'll be right back.
All right.
I got up to go looking for my phone. It's in my bag, which is on the seat directly behind me.
Just go get something.
No, you're right.
This on. Yeah. Okay.
You're the only one back, Naomi.
Sorry?
You're the only one back.
I'm still.
Oh yeah, I went looking for my phone. I went to go get my phone. It was in my handbag directly behind my chair.
Oh, you're kidding.
And I'm never truly gone.
Yeah.
Unless I'm in the bathroom, and then I'm paranoid that I won't put it on mute, so I take my headset off.
I think that's a very sensible thing. Thank you, Kim, for that.
I know we're all very close, but I don't know that we're that close. I don't know that I ever want to be that close to anyone.
I made a mistake of walking past Anderson.
Uh-oh.
No. What did you do?
Now I'm never going to find a page for what to do about anyway.
Have a look at the kitties.
Naomi, how did you not realise this was mostly sci-fi from the description?
I thought that the way they created the Diabolics would be magical.
Right.
Like, I thought there would be magic as well as, like, science. Like, I thought it would be, like, I thought there would be some magic in the story.
Okay.
Okay, this is the part that I was talking about. It says, we found our way to his plush lounger and sank down onto it together, our bodies never parting, locked together like two magnets. Was this wise? I could not say, but a curious but wonderful fog filled my brain. So I was like, is this just a really badly written way of saying that they did more than kiss, or is it that they just kissed, but they were also like lying on the couch but not kissing? And when as I read a bit further, it was like, oh, okay, obviously it was just the kiss. But I just thought our bodies were locked together like magnets was just a bit.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
yeah,
it was Nemesis's first, like, proper kiss.
Yeah.
So for her, she would have been very much overthinking it. Like, am I pressed together too much, or is this not enough, or should I be, like, you know what it's like.
Yeah, it was more the language that was annoying me than the grandeur of the first kiss. I kind of get that, especially in YA. It was more the language that it was like, maybe I'm getting old. Maybe because I probably would have devoured this, even not when I was even a teenager, even, 10, 15 years ago, I would have been like, yeah, this is really awesome. Now I think I'm a lot more cynical. I don't know.
I'm with you, Kirsten.
I mean, the other part of it is, like, I think that flower, like, the sort of the language was because of Nemesis didn't know how to describe it. Like, to her, like, she didn't know why, like, she wanted to keep her body pressed up against his, but, it was like they were like magnets and they were stuck together. That sort of thing, like.
Yeah.
I feel really defensive of this book now, and I probably shouldn't feel this defensive. Like, it's not like my favorite book of all time. I don't know why I'm so defensive of it.
It probably doesn't help that I'm sort of this, I'm not sort of into it, and that probably creates a feling of I want to defend something I enjoyed, and you don't really have to at all.
No, well,
I'm pointing out a lot of things.
I'm not upset that people didn't enjoy it. Like, I realized that it, like I said, it is a very YA book. Like, there are a lot of YA tropes in it, and that can be a problem with some books. Like, you can have a really good YA book, don't get me wrong, but there were a lot of YA tropes in this book that can turn people off, and that's fine. But I'm getting really defensive. I really did enjoy it.
I did too. That's the thing I was going to say.
I'm so defensive.
I'm pointing out a lot of the things that I didn't like because it's a discussion point and it's easy to bring up. But there were lots of things I did like about this, and I did finish like half the book in one night, and I would not have put that much effort in if I was hating it. If I was really not liking it, I would have gone, fuck it, I'll just tell them I didn't finish it in time for the hangout. I kept reading it because I was like, no, I'll just read a bit more. And so that actually, it says a lot about the book, but it's just that when I'm talking about it, it's really easy to remember the little things that annoyed me than it is to remember the things that I really liked, if that makes sense. Because, you know, when we have a hangout, when we all liked the book, we all sit there and go, yeah, I liked it, and then don't really say anything else. So,
Yeah, that's true. Like, we all do go, yes,
unless-
we like this book, it is good. A plus.
Unless it's like
Yeah.
something that we want to gush about, and it's meaty and stuff. That's the only time when we really like it and it still works. Like the 5th season was good that way.
Yeah, but I mean,
especially when
this isn't good the way the 5th season was good. Like, I don't want to gush about how good it was and force it upon everyone. I just really enjoyed it.
And
that's what I said to Matt when he asked what I thought. I said I quite liked it, but I'm not like shoving it into your hands going, read it now. So
yeah. Whereas for me, I think my problem lies in the world building. I really didn't enjoy the world, and so I'm sort of managing to get by, but I'm not enjoying myself because it's very hard when you really don't like the world.
I don't think there was
like
much.
the idea.
I don't think there was much world building, really, not in the grander scheme of things.
But that might have been
liked
part of
this
the problem.
idea of this post-technological sort of society where religion has taken hold again, and people are afraid of tech. Like people almost come full circle back to the Dark Ages, and people are afraid of technology, and they don't understand it, even though they use it all the time, and shit's starting to break because nobody knows how to work it. And it's because of religion. And
I mean, it's not even that they're like.
I quite found that quite interesting. That was one of the things I did like.
Yeah. But I mean, it's not even that like they're afraid of science. Like, they're not afraid of scientific stuff, but they don't want to learn about it. Like, it's so weird that they're like, oh no, well, we're not scared of it, and we want to keep using it, and we don't want it to break, but we don't want anyone to know how any of this shit works. Like, like, is it going to come out in the end that like the king has like this sort of secret lab of people that are like working on stuff so that his stuff never breaks? Like,
there has to be. I was thinking there was a few things I'm like that you can't just not maintain, like,
could you like imagine the most powerful person not working behind someone's back, like the Diabolics? Obviously he just ignored the thing about the Diabolics. He still had Diabolics. It's like, how would he's probably got some secret technology away that's making sure that his ship is fixed and that his repair bots don't go down and things like that. I'm like, I have a very strong suspicion that not everything's
and I can't remember what it was, but I remember there was one thing I thought last night that I went, yeah, they would have to be maintaining that. That can't possibly have been done. I can't even remember what it was now, but I remember thinking, well, that can't have been done by robots. So who is keeping this going? Oh, it was maybe I suppose it was the robots could have done it as well, but I was thinking all these drugs, they're always having all these drugs. And I'm like, and they're coming up with new drugs. And I'm like, well, who's inventing the drugs?
Like, you don't really seem to have like robot AI as such. Like, they have robots and nanobots, but they don't really have robot. Like, it's not like they're a smart robot AI type robots. Like, there are robots that seem
they didn't mention them.
Real like AI robots. So I was like, how are you still like, if you're so afraid of like studying things and like books and like. Even the print, like Tyrus owning books was frowned upon. And so it wasn't just like women can't learn things. Like, it was very like, no one can know anything ever. And I was like, but what if your shit breaks? And I mean, I know you have robots, but what if the robots break? Like, it just felt very weird.
That was the problem. They had robots to fix robots, but when those robots at the end of the queue die, then things are falling apart. Slowly.
Well, and then there's materials that will deteriorate. That if nobody's like manufacturing the parts and like, I don't know, I kind of
just all it to me.
Like, are the robots manufacturing their own parts? Like, do they have some sort of like 3D printer that's printing the parts that they need?
Yeah, I mean, they'd gone so far as to colonize space before all this happened and have like this great database, giant planets worth of databases or something like that. I'm assuming that they had factories where no human intervention was necessary, and they probably had mining planets and things like that. And maybe they even had, maybe some of the planets were even mining labor, but and bringing all those materials. But I guess, if they were that far advanced, they'd have whole planets of machinery that just did their job and mined more stuff, or maybe even colonized other planets to mine, you know, went out, found a suitable thing, dropped down, populated the planet with machines and mined all of that stuff off. Because that would be pretty basic, but, you know, to that extent where they colonized the universe, they probably had machines that did that, and it wasn't until all of those started breaking down that it's like they were sort of in this period where everything had started to break down and more was happening.
It seems weird that not even like the king would have someone, like, you know, because I mean, kings back in like the sort of like in our own medieval and that sort of time would have their own sort of, you know, have their own doctors and things like that were studying things, like, because they were rich enough to have people that were doing those things, even if like they would have people that would be considered sorcerers, that, you know, it would be illegal if they were out in the world, but in the king's sort of castle they could do whatever they wanted, kind of thing. And it seems strange that the royal family that they had wouldn't have any of that sort of backup plan.
I guess the thing is, it's an interesting idea for world building. It's like an interesting concept, and I really quite liked that whole concept of the two factions of the science versus religion kind of thing. But it wasn't very well fleshed out. And I know that it's just a YA, and they're kind of, you know, you haven't got the scope of something that's more written for adults. But then there are plenty of YA books that do seem to flesh out their worlds a bit better.
Exactly.
So
I think she could have solved
it was an interesting concept.
Very simple. She could have solved the whole thing with something very simple, like there being more than just this one empire culture, and they were trading with somebody, and that would have at least explained some small amounts of things coming in. It wouldn't solve all their problems, but it would explain some little plot holes and things like that, so that you could just go, and also because it have an avenue for relearning their science. Because that's the other thing. Like, we're talking about the fact that they probably have to restart from scratch.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like there's how many got rid parts of like the Empyrean senator had those old database pieces. They was fleshing together, and Sidonia had even learned stuff. She was talking about the fact that everybody was made of stars, which she'd learned from her father. So obviously this information is out there and squirreled away, secreted away everywhere from these bits and pieces found and been, but otherwise I think they would have to pretty much start from scratch. Although it seemed like, you know, at least all those old books seem to have survived by collectors keeping them, because they didn't think anyone's actually going to learn things from books, as Tyrus was saying. I just pretend that they're for decoration. I was like,
and I totally believe that. I'm like, that'll totally work for me, because like books are decoration. Like,
because also
Sidonia they're so pretty.
Sidonia was using bots to translate them from English even. So there were books there that people wouldn't even understand when they opened them without using a bot to translate.
Yeah. But I mean, that also means what language are they speaking? Like, because she was saying that they were translating from a bunch of different languages. Like, if they're not...
I think it's sort of like trying to read Shakespeare now. It can be really confusing. So it's been hundreds and hundreds. Because think how long it's been since Shakespeare. Not really that long, and the language has changed that much. Think of like in the future.
Well, and like medieval texts, like before Shakespeare, there's English that not only would the language be completely foreign to us if we tried to read it, like even the handwriting and like the way they wrote letters was different. And like if you went back in time like 500 years and you were like, yeah, I can read, and someone gave you something and you tried to read it, you'd be like, like I can make out this word and that word, but not. You know.
But the good thing is that wouldn't be a problem, because almost everyone was illiterate anyway.
Yeah, I know. That's true. But you kind of think, oh, well, you know, if I went back in time, I'd be like, have this advantage because I've got this education from the 21st century. And then
I think, you know,
back and nobody would believe you. You'd be like, I can totally read. And then they'd give you something to read and you'd be like, oh, actually.
Although Sidonia seemed like she could read, or reading was encouraged for, you know, things like poetry and art rather than things, because they were saying things, you know, you know, your, I can't remember what they're called now. The servitors. It's like a servitor can't do poetry or art or things like that.
Oh, and she did a lot of art. She had the
married,
sculpture thing, and
yeah, it sounded like one of those the ones the Empyrean matron, whatever her name was, seemed to have. I kept thinking like the fat sort of stone thing she had was one of those goddess figures.
Yeah, that was what I pictured.
The goddess figures, yeah, fertility goddess. Yeah, that's what I thought from that description. That it was stone and it was like this big bulbous person. I'm like, it sounds like one of those goddess figures where they're big round with the arms.
Yeah, it's kind of like a torso. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was totally what I pictured as well. Yeah, so they valued art and they had this whole, kind of almost reminded me, I think, who was it that said it was a, you know, like the French court just prior to the revolution kind of.
I was saying that it was like sort of early 19th century kind of thing. Like they wanted, women wanted to be frail and very petite looking, like you didn't want to be muscular as a woman, that sort of thing.
It kind of made me think of the French court, like Marie Antoinette, and all the like giant hair and all the crap they would put in their hair and all the
makeup and stuff. I'm like, when I was thinking of them, like the highlights of the skin, I'm like, someone's gone nuts with the highlight. Like a really glimmery highlighter. Sort of sounded like they were all doing to themselves, having extreme fake tans and tons of glittery highlighter. And it sort of reminded me as well as in the Hunger Games where the people in the Capitol have got like these really wild fashion things, and I'm like, yeah, it's the same kind of thing. You're like, they're kind of in this weird, privileged but useless kind of situation where they're like, we've got nothing better to do than try and outdo each other with the weirdest fashion thing, because what else? We're not allowed to talk about anything serious. And yeah, especially at the start with all the
anti-gravity, where we all have this giant jewelry and
at the start they had all those ball gowns where like you couldn't even. There's the one where she was introduced and she had to have the exosuit on to actually carry it, and then the other one where they were dancing in 0G and like they dressed you. Put on like your heavy stuff like minutes before you went in because you couldn't really stand there and wear all this heavy gaudy jewelry.
Yeah, in normal gravity you wouldn't be able to wear it. Like, this is your anti-gravity outfit because like you can't carry this shit around.
Oh yeah, and then like when she was getting on the ship and she was like, I have to let all these people help me so that I look like a regular human instead of just like walking along by myself.
I'm not supposed to be able to carry on. I thought it was funny when she got off the ship and she had to be said because it was so low gravity on Lumia that she had to be careful not to like leap. I'd be like, like bounce.
I did like it when she first saw the lightning storm on the planet.
Yeah.
She was like, oh yeah,
so it was weapons attack.
It seemed like that. Like if you never heard of a lightning storm before and you'd never been on a planet, you'd be like, oh my god, we're all going to die.
Yeah, it'd be like it would look like ships firing onto a planet. Yeah. Or since they had energy weapons, it would look like ships firing weapons.
Especially since she was like poised for attack. Like she was like, someone's going to attack us. Like we need to be ready at all times. And like that would have really set you on edge too. And then that sort of happening, you would have been
she was already on guard about being separated. And
although I feel like maybe the what's her name from Lumiere? What's the girl's name?
Naveni?
Oh, I can't think of it.
Yes, Naveni. Like I feel like her and her sort of family and those people will sort of play a really larger role in the next book. Like
they were interesting. I liked sort of the planet side sort of aspect. That would be really interesting.
I want them to do more with those sorts of people's like I'm so sick of like all the like vapid little like we're just here for parties and to eat cake.
That's a really interesting thing to look out for with the second book as to which direction she takes it, since she wasn't planning on writing a second book and then got asked to write it. Like, well, we've sort of read these hints that possibly suggest where they could take it, but they probably weren't hints because she wasn't planning on writing a second book.
At least I don't think she was ever planning on writing a second book. Like, when I first chose the book, I don't think I could find anything on it being a sequel, because that was why I picked. That's why I was tossing up between this book and Caraval, because I was like, well, they're both single books, which is great, because I love just reading a book, having a good time with it, and then putting it down and knowing that I'm done with that series. But now I'm like,
someone writes another
book and I want to read it now.
So I was quite happy to end this one. Like, if I run out of stuff to read, I'll definitely try the next one, especially depending on which direction she takes it in. But I did feel like it ended enough of an ending that I don't feel like if I don't get time to read the next one, I'm going to be pissed off, you know? Like, it was...
That was the thing. Like, when I ended it, when I finished it, I said to Karina, I really enjoyed that book. I wish there was another, because I enjoyed the book, but not that I felt like I didn't have enough. Like, I wouldn't be disappointed if there wasn't another. And she's like, oh, there's not another. I'm like, no, there's not. And then I was like, no, I don't think. And then she opened it on Goodreads and she's like, it says Diabolic #1. I'm like, what?
Yeah, when I went to the website, like when you said it was #1, there was another book coming out. I went to her website, and like on her website, there is no mention of it whatsoever. And so I went to Goodreads, and I'm like, oh.
Well, there is actually a
There's even a cover
now.
Yeah, so yeah, reasonably, not just.
And then there's like #3 with no information.
Well,
yeah, but that's usually what happens, isn't it? They'll go, okay, I'm writing one book, and then it's like, oh, this was successful. You need to make it into a trilogy.
Yes.
The second book in the Diabolic series was published in fall 2017, followed by book 3 in fall 2018. Whoa.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's due out soon, like in October.
Yeah.
I think I kind of like it when it's planned out that it's going to be a series more so than when it just sort of continues. Like Lady Trent's a really good example of one which you knew from the very beginning there was going to be 5 books, and it was written with balance and everything. So I don't know.
They say that about the Scott Lynch ones, the Gentleman Bastard series. Like he's going to write 7 books. He's always said he's going to write 7 books, and I'm like, yeah, it's taking you. You're doing a George R. R. Martin with these 7 books, but
yeah, like
it is planned out. Like, and I kind of like that.
Even on her personal website, there's still no mention like about the Empress. Like, there's no like on the Diabolic.
Sometimes they'll crap at
updating.
Sorry. Yeah, sometimes they crap at updating their personal websites. It's usually the publisher's one is more likely to be up to date.
Oh, yeah. Well, it does say check back soon for my 2016 events.
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's a little outdated.
Maybe check if she's got a Twitter feed. If she talks about it there, then you can. She has a Facebook, and like her latest one, which was 10 hours ago, was the Empress Arc giveaway.
Oh, okay, cool. I bet you it's not open to Australians.
It says, review the Diabolic, repost this graphic or Diabolic cover on Facebook. Past photos are okay. Reply to this post directly with a link to items 1 and 2 you are entered. It does not say anything about you must be in another country. So,
okay, fair enough.
Part of me wants to do this.
There's so many of them. Yeah. I hate competitions where you have to like share shit all the time, and I say that, but I had one of those with my art page, and I'm like, that's the way that you can get new views, and that's why you have a competition and why you get something like that.
I don't mind it so much when it's something like it's a small little company. It's when it's something that's really huge and you're like, the chances A of me winning this are so tiny, and B, I don't feel like you need my help to spread the word.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So far it's only been 10 hours since she posted it, but there have been 3 likes on the post, and her page has 2,295 people who like her Facebook page.
Wow.
So
even
not
if
that many.
If every single one of those people who enter, and let's be honest, they won't.
No.
I still have a fair chance, like compared to like if it was like on the Barnes and Noble's website page or on the Scholastic Facebook page or something like that. Like I would have no chance on God's green earth. But this, at least, I seem like I might have a small chance to be able to do this. So
I think you should go for it.
I might do that.
My thing is like I have this feeling now and then that I want arcs because I'm like, yeah, that'd be really cool to get the book in advance and stuff. But then you hear about how sometimes the books change.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of like,
If you
yeah,
get it for free, then you can always justify buying the newer version and just skimming through it to see if anything's different.
It's not that, because I'm
If
pretty
you really
sure I would
liked
do
it.
that anyway, because the arcs usually aren't very good print quality.
No, they're usually ugly as anything.
Yeah, it's more along the lines of if I read the book and then accept it as canon in my head, and then it comes out and there's been some changes, and you're looking for them and you're not even sure if they're there, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay.
Matt used to be able to get them when he worked in the bookshop.
Yeah.
I remember we got,
Look,
I think it was the second Scarecrow book from Matthew Riley. What was that? The Area 7? Matt got an ARC book for that and signed one. And I was so freaking excited because I was like obsessed with Matthew Riley books at the time. And I was like so excited that I got to read that book before it got published. So it was really good. We still have it somewhere, the signed one. And we've got the new, like the actual book that got published as well, because I think that was before we moved in together, so I had my own copy in, but he had lent me his advanced reading one and I still went out and bought my own or something. I don't know. But I know we have an actual copy as well as the advanced reading one. But
that's awesome.
Matt used to get them quite a bit because he'd go to like these events for bookstores and they'd have, because they want bookstore staff to read their books ahead of time so that when someone comes in and asks for a recommendation, they can say, oh, I just read this one and it's great. So, yeah, that was one of the advantages to Matt working in the bookshop.
I was actually thinking about that sort of thing, like book recommendations the other day. I've been trying to buy my books from Minotaur because I want to support them as a sci-fi fantasy specific store. And I was thinking about it the other day when I was in there and I was like, I don't actually feel like I can go and ask anybody for help about the books. Like, I know I could go and ask for advice and help about the comics, but I don't feel like anybody here really knows about the books. Like they can tell me something on the shelf or something, but not like a recommendation kind of thing.
Yeah, especially if they are really up to date with comics. It's like you're not going to have a huge amount of time to be reading a lot of novels as well.
That's
exactly a lot of comics to get. Like if you read a lot of comics, and especially if you read a lot of the superhero comics that come out a lot,
which I definitely feel like
they have time for anything else.
No.
Yeah. We've been buying a lot lately from that shop up the road from us, that book base. It's such a nice shop. So their children's section is just so beautiful. But like they don't have a huge sci-fi fantasy collection like
There's one copy of the Stone Sky.
Matt just said they only had one copy of the Stone Sky and he got
it. No, that is clearly a bad sign.
I mean, it's not the worst section, like especially for such a small store, because it is a very small store and it's half like cafe. Like for a lot of other shops that are similar in size, I think it's probably comparable or better as far as sci-fi fantasy goes. Like they've got probably like half a shelf of a really long shelf. Like they've probably got 4 really long shelves and then one back wall. That's the whole shelf. That's the whole store. So for half of one of those shelves isn't too bad for their like balance of how much they've got. But yeah, it's still for us. It's like read that. Don't want that. You know,
my local one is it's got 3 shelves, so 3 sort of normal width shelves, but very tall of sci-fi and fantasy. But it's almost always like it's the predictable stuff. You know, they'll have the Brandon Sanderson, they'll have the Pat Rothfuss, and they'll have the Tolkien, and you're like, where's the females? Where's the recent females? And even the females they do have, they won't be older females, so they won't have any. They'll have a Le Guin, that's about it. And so they'll have a couple of like they'll have a Kylie Chan or something along those lines, and that's about it.
Yeah, that is the issue we ran into when we were trying to find you Tamaraire. Not only did our local shop not have it, but every Dimmicks that we went to didn't have it, and QBD that we went to didn't have it. And I'm like, They didn't even have any of that series. It's not even like they didn't have the first one, but they had the most recent one in that series, but they hadn't kept stock of the earlier ones in that series.
Yeah.
The only Naomi Novik one they had was Uprooted in any of the shops that we went to. Oh, damn it, the one time that we have to buy it in a real shop. Like any other time I would have bought online and it wouldn't have mattered. So just get me to be your Secret Santa again.
Well, we know that it's a common occurrence.
It might be worth saying goodnight for now. We can.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure we're enough off topic that people aren't very interested anymore.
Oh well, if they're book people, they might find our discussion on the merits and non-merits of local bookstores sort of interesting. We're still on the topic of books, so we're kind of on the right track at least. Like I mean, quite often when we're off track, it's not even books we're talking about. So.
Something completely different. Yep.
Yes, it might be worth saying goodnight for now. Thank you very much for staying with us as long as you have. I hope you enjoyed our fairly on-topic chat for the majority of the evening about the Diabolic. I hope if you read it, you enjoyed it too, and we'll hope you enjoy us next time. Bye-bye.
Next time we'll be with Kim's pick for the Long Earth. Yay!
Long Earth, yes.
Yay!
Mm.